What up, y'all? I'm back for another video. This is another fucking take. Anyway, today I am reviewing Spider-Man 3. Here's my thing with this movie. I don't hate it, but it's gonna be a rant slash review. It's a review slash rant, because I think there is some decent stuff in here, but man, Mary Jane, Venom's addition to the movie doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry, it just doesn't. He feels so forced in. Hold on. I just need to make sure it's still fucking filming. Because last time it just stopped filming. But yeah, it just, there was too much going on. Venom, I'll just go on a little diatribe about Venom. Venom is supposed to be the villain. To me, he's my favorite Spider-Man villain. I understand everyone loves Green Goblin, Doc Ock, but Venom, to me, he is why I think he's the best Spider-Man villain, because he's Spider-Man's biggest challenge. He's the one villain that, like, Spider-Man always struggles to take on. And I would have loved to. He should have his own movie. He shouldn't feel like a third way. Because even when the symbiote and shit landed in the movie, there's even a point when I was watching it yesterday, I almost forgot about the symbiote. I kind of forgot about it until that scene when it attaches to him. Which, when he's in the black suit and shit, okay, that's cool. Like, I did like that shit. But it's such a forgettable element. And Venom, like Eddie Brock, I would have been fine if he's in the movie just as a, like, character, but we don't actually see Venom. Because his whole way he becomes Venom is so forced. He just happens to be at the church where Peter's removing the fucking symbiote. It's so... That's too coincidental for me. That just doesn't even make sense. Venom should get it a different way. And I get it. If it was like the comics had a better setup. The way they did it here, it was just kind of convenient than it just being an homage to the comics. I hated... Mary Jane is such a piece of shit in this movie. Like, basically, she's jealous of Peter being Spider-Man because she lost. She got a bad review on her play, and then she ends up getting replaced. Okay, that's shitty, but when Peter even tries to comfort her, she's like, "This isn't about you. This is about me." It's like, oh my god, bro. Well, I don't know what they were going for there. Like, Mary Jane is supposed to be like Peter's rock, and not once did I feel that in this movie at all. Even in Spider-Man 2, I had problems with her in that movie. You still have little glimpses of Mary Jane. This was just... She was awful in this movie. Like, she was straight up just awful. Like, to the point, like, I'm sorry, that scene where Peter, is kind of gloating, Gwen over her, I don't feel bad. I just don't. It's hard for me to feel bad. Or even the scene when Peter accidentally hits her. That's supposed to be like, Peter, what have you done? You've gone too far. Like, you're not yourself. It doesn't hit the same way because you make Mary Jane so shit that it's like, oh, whatever. I don't know. I don't know what Sam Raimi is going for. It's not Kirsten Dunst's fault, because I actually think she can be a good Mary Jane. In Spider-Man 1, she was good. There may be one or two scenes in that I'm like, about her, but she was really good in Spider-Man 1. And then it's like in this, they just make her so unlikable. To the point where it's just, and Mary Jane's my favorite love interest. Like, I might even a little bit put her above Lois Lane, even though I'm more of a Superman fan. But Mary Jane, when she's written well, is like, she's like such a rock for Peter. And we don't have any of that in this movie, and it's sad. Obviously, the too many villains thing. What they do with Sandman, how much they try to beat it in your head that he's a sympathetic villain. Even having him basically say, "Guys, feel bad for me. I'm not a bad guy. I had my reasons." It was so, like, they were trying to capture that Doc Ock, Alfred Molina performance, and it just didn't work. It fell flat. It just... You should have just did like the comics, where he's just a thief who happens to get sand powered. That's it. He's not like, he didn't have a sick kid And my God, the amount of times he was looking at that fucking locket, it was driving me nuts, man. Like every fucking scene, like he's looking at his fucking locket. It's like I have to really hammer it home. He's sympathetic, and it just doesn't work. Because Alfred, like Molina as Doc Ock, he wasn't like, guys, feel bad for me, make me sympathetic. He just kind of happened to be sympathetic. And it's just in this movie, they're like trying to capture that same energy, and it just doesn't work. Yeah, it's shit, man. I don't hate him as Sandman. Like when he's actually doing like the Sandman stuff, like the sand scenes look really good. Like even when he becomes that big mother sand fucking monster in the end of the film, looks good. I'll admit that scene where Peter forgives him was well done. The retcon's still fucking stupid, even with the timeline. It doesn't make sense. What, you didn't have to do that. It was such a shit. It's just, it felt like they just wanted to tie it back to the first one, because you know, in a trilogy we gotta always tie it back to the first. You didn't have to do that here, because it doesn't make any sense timeline wise. Going, just rewatch the first movie. That guy did not have a fucking partner. Why wouldn't Flint Marco? And why did it take so long? You're telling me it took this long? And I get it. You can think murders go unsolved for years, but it's like, I get it. It's New York. Murders can get unsolved, but come on. You really gonna have me believe that it wasn't this guy? No. He had a partner out of nowhere that just never gets fucking mentioned. It'd been one thing if you kind of set it up in the second one, and even then, I don't really like it on principle. I didn't need you to call back to this at all. This is like, okay, Ben's uncle dies. We know who did it. That's supposed to just be like the trigger for Spider-Man. I know it's like in the Batman equivalent of Batman movie saying it wasn't Joe Chill who killed Batman's father, or you know, the Wayne family. It was somebody else. It's like, what are you doing? We don't need to do that. You don't need to add this extra unnecessary retcon that doesn't make any sense just so you can have. I'll admit, the scene in the end between Peter and Flint was good. I'll admit that's like probably the best scene in terms of performance of Flint, but it just doesn't work as a storyline. It just doesn't. Sorry, even if we got that cool scene in the end, it doesn't justify that retcon, in my opinion. It just doesn't. So, what else didn't I like? There's a lot. I thought the fight scenes were good, like most of them, besides the Harry fight scene, and I'll admit that looked terrible. When Harry and Spider-Man were fighting in the air, or like when Harry initially attacks Peter because Peter is not in his Spider-Man suit. That scene did not look good at all. But like the final fight, and I'm gonna say it's Spider-Man when he's back in the black, in his classic suit. I thought when he came back, you got the city cheering him on. You got like the news lady giving commentary, which I actually really liked that. It made that fight kind of dire. You got someone kind of commenting on it, doing a little commentary almost. When he comes back and he's in his classic suit, everyone's cheering. You got that fucking music playing. I'll admit, that was good. That was a good fucking scene. And I think in general, or even when Harry shows up, that was good. But there's a lot more wrong in this movie. I will say this: I will probably watch Spider-Man 3 before I watch any of the Tom Holland ones. I'll admit, obviously I'll be objective. I did not see No Way Home all the way through. I've seen like the nostalgia scenes, but I've never seen it all the way through. But I'd even still say I'd watch this over that. At least Spider-Man, it's just a bad Spider-Man movie. Spider-Man 3 is just a bad Spider-Man movie. The Iron Boy movies are not Spider-Man movies to me. I won't, obviously, I'm negating the third because I've not seen that one all the way through. But the other two, I will definitively say they're not Spider-Man movies. I'll watch Spider-Man 3 before I watch those two again. At least there's good parts in it, and Tobey's still Spider-Man. I'm sorry. Bully Maguire is one of the funniest things in the fucking movie. I'm gonna be honest. I was dying. Yeah, I cringed when I first watched it. Because I was really excited for, because I'm gonna be honest, this was almost at the level of Revenge of the Sith for me, of excitement. Because, I really love Spider-Man 2, the hearing the rumors that Venom was gonna be in it. Oh, okay, Venom. This could be, but then unfortunately he wasn't done well. Topher Grace was not Eddie Brock. He was a fine character if you had changed his name and just had him be the asshole, reporter that's trying to get Peter's job. That's it. That's all if you just had him be a different character, it could work. but he was not Eddie Brock. He just wasn't. So, out of 10, I give this movie a 6. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it's not good either. And I probably won't go out of my way to watch it again. I probably mainly still stick to the other two, but this one is not horrible. It just, unfortunately, studio interference, too many villains, Mary Jane's betrayal, Harry getting told that it took 2 movies for his butler to tell him, no, Harry, it wasn't Peter who killed your dad. Like, why the fuck did you tell him that in the second movie? Why were you waiting 2 movies just so you could have that cool scene in the end? Because, yeah, you have that moment where Peter asks for Harry's help. Harry says no, but then his butler tells him, like, why did you? Just so you can have that moment. It's like, it doesn't make sense. Why? It's like the other thing. Why would his butler wait this long? You're telling me he wouldn't have told him by the second movie? I don't know. It would have made more sense to have that scene in the second movie. Because you have Harry's whole hatred for getting Spider-Man. That was like his whole thing in that movie. So it would have made more sense to tell him then than doing it now. Anyway. It was still cool having Harry get involved in the fight. I actually thought Harry's death was pretty sad. I still thought the way he dies in the end is pretty sad. I hated Venom. I'm going to go more into it when we get into the story, but overall, like I said, 6 out of 10. No video tonight. I think this is pretty much going to be the only video I'm doing today. Just going to make sure. Sorry if I keep doing that. I'm just doing it because last time I tried to do a take, I was literally like getting close to the middle of the film reviewing it, and it just wasn't. It just stopped recording. So I just want to make sure it's still recording. But yeah, so like I said, no video tonight. Tomorrow, since I don't have to review anything, I'll be talking about why there should not be a Scream 7. Wes Craven never intended that franchise to be 7 movies. I know he wanted to do a new trilogy with 4 through 6, but he would have probably ended it at 6. He didn't. There was no way they were going to do a fucking Scream 7. Because now, okay, I'll go more of that into tomorrow. But yeah, I just want to, so that's what I'll be doing tomorrow. But, yeah, let's get into Spider-Man 3. So Mary Jane and Peter are dating. And that's the sad part too. Like, this should be like a feel-good moment in this movie. Peter and Mary have been trying to get together for 2 movies. Now they're finally together, and it's like you can't even enjoy it. There's the one scene. There's only one scene I'd say I liked them in, and that was when they're chilling on the Peter makes a web, and they're like looking at the stars. That's like the one moment where Mary Jane actually felt like the character. But it's like that. Unfortunately, we don't get any more moments after that. So Peter goes to her show, and I thought the scene where he's like sitting in between these like 2 big dudes was pretty funny. Harry was there. Peter and Harry, obviously, they have some friction because Harry knows, still, because now he knows that Peter's Spider-Man. He basically blames Peter for killing his dad. So then, like I said, we have that scene, and that's where the symbiote lands. I'm going to be honest. When I was watching this, I forgot about the symbiote. Because there's like that scene later where, Mary goes to Peter's house, and, and Peter kind of tells her to go away. And when she closes the door, you see the symbiote, and it's like, that's when I was reminded, oh shit, that's in the movie. That's why like Venom's addition just doesn't make any sense, because he wasn't set up. The symbiote, I don't even really feel like was set up well either. Like, I forgot. I'm gonna be honest. Even watching the movie, because you clearly could tell the focus was supposed to be on Sandman. So Flint Marko, while this goes on, breaks out, has the scene with his daughter, which is like whatever. They really were trying to make you feel bad for the guy. If you're gonna do a sympathetic villain, you can't do guys feel bad for him kind of thing. It's so on the nose when you do that shit. It just is. It really is like you're really trying to make us feel bad, and it just doesn't work when you do it. You gotta have it come off natural. This didn't. It felt very forced. Like I said, like the amount of fucking times he looks at that locket, it was so aggravating, because it's like, guys, feel bad for me. Or even we'll have him say lines like, feel bad. Well, he didn't say feel bad for me, but like, I didn't do anything wrong, or I'm doing, I have my reasons. Like, they really want to make you feel, or I'm not a bad guy. Like, it's like, guys, we get it. You don't have to hammer it home that he's not a villain, even though Sandman should just be a villain. I think if they had just adapted him like the comic, have him just be a robber who just happens to break out, no ties, not, and I'll get into that later again about him being the one who actually killed Uncle Ben. None of that. If they just did none of that and just have him be Sandman, it would have worked better. You could have just had him be he wanted to see his wife, and maybe they don't have a kid together. I don't know. They should have just whatever. So the next day, Spider-Man ends up saving Gwen Stacy. After I thought that scene was really good. Like, basically when he's doing Spider-Man stuff, the movie's actually pretty good. It's just the story. Like, when Mary Jane gets a bad review, Peter's trying to like tell her, like, you don't know when I'm Spider-Man, I got my critics, and he's basically trying to say you can overlook that and just get past that. You just ignore it. And she's like, no, this isn't about you. This is about me. I'm like, oh my god, he's trying to help her. It's so aggravating. I had to pause at that moment. I'm like, oh my god, this bitch. That's what I mean. And then there's a scene later, she gets fired from her play. So when she gets out of the building, you see Spider-Man swing by, and the city's all like saying Spider-Man. She gives this look like they're basically having her be jealous and almost resent Peter because he's Spider-Man, and I guess his life's going good, even though not really. He's about to find out that it wasn't, even though I hate it, that his uncle, like, he killed, because that guy who he thought killed Uncle Ben ended up dying. So for that, I can understand breaking him, And the fucked up thing is Peter wants to marry this girl, like, 'cause yeah, he has a ring, and that they even set that whole thing up, and it's like, it's so aggravating. Mary Jane in this movie is such a piece. This is, to me, the worst version of Mary Jane. I get some people don't like the PS4 version. I don't either. I don't really like the whole she's a reporter thing. But at least in that, there's glimpses of Mary Jane. There's none of that in this movie, besides one scene, and it's not that long of a scene to where I can, like, really... No, she's awful. She's genuinely awful. Like, I don't know what the fuck Sam Raimi was trying to go for. All he did was just make her an awful person, to where I'm like, Peter, go with Ursula. Yeah, go with the neighbor girl. Go with Gwen Stacy. Go for anyone else but fucking Mary Jane. Stay the fuck away from her. Like, and it's sad because she's my favorite Peter girlfriend is her. Like, Mary Jane and Peter is just such a classic story. I'm fine with her, him and Gwen, but in this instance, I'd rather him go with Gwen. She's such a genuinely awful person. She's such a piece of shit in this movie. Like, there's no other way to describe it. She has no real reason to feel like that either. She's supposed to be Peter's rock. You know how many cool scenes we could have had between the two where she sees, she knows about the symbiote, and maybe she's trying to have actual Peter to come out, and then that scene when he accidentally hits her, I could have actually felt bad for her, but I didn't. Sorry, I didn't. I didn't feel bad for her when Peter brought Gwen to gloat over her. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't. I had no sympathy. And I should be like, oh, Peter, that's a piece of shit thing to do. This isn't you. But no, I didn't. Because she was such a dog shit person in this movie. Anyway. So, Flint Marko falls in the thing, becomes Sandman. The next day, there's like this Spider-Man event. I forgot to mention this. Peter gets attacked by Harry, now New Goblin, who I thought his suit in I would have rather him just been Hobgoblin, because that's who Harry becomes in some iterations in the comics. But yeah, so he becomes the New Goblin, attacks Peter, but during the fight ends up getting hurt to where he ends up like hitting his head and losing memory. So temporarily for a little bit of the movie, Harry just sees Peter as his friend. Like things are kind of normal. He doesn't remember about what happened with his dad and none of that. So Spider-Man as a Spider-Man Day, who I thought that was funny. Um, some of his interactions with Eddie Brock. Like, I just feel like if Eddie Brock had just been one, that should have been Topher Grace just wasn't the right pick. Because I've always said in an Elseworld timeline, if they didn't cast Tobey Maguire, Topher Grace could have probably been a good Peter Parker. He feels more like a Peter Parker than he does fucking Eddie Brock. So it's like it just doesn't work. So if he had just been another character who just was an asshole reporter who wants Peter's job, I think, or photographer that wants Peter's job, that could have worked better. So Spider-Man comes in. He accidentally tells, because he wasn't thinking about Mary Jane being there. Tells her to, do the reenactment of that kiss, where she pulls off the mask and kisses her while he's and he just did it for the shot, but didn't think about it. And all of it, that was shitty. But then it's still, I didn't feel bad. Because Mary Jane's an absolute piece of shit, even by this point in the movie. Constantly running to Harry all the fucking time. It was just awful. So anyway, after that, this is where Peter finds out that Flint... I did like his first fight with Sandman. And that moment with Sandman when he pops out of the bed of a truck, punches out like some cops and some people. I thought that was a cool villain thing when he attacks the event. Spider-Man chases him. But that's the one thing. I'm thinking that's why Sandman, even though he's not like, I wouldn't put him like one of my main favorite villains, but he is a good villain for Spider-Man because Spider-Man can't just punch him. Like when he punches him in the chest, it like goes through, and I'm like, okay, that's a good shot. Like that's a good challenge for Spider-Man. Villain you can't just straight up punch. So if he had just been the main villain and they actually done him like the comic version, it would have worked better. So Sandman manages to get away. Then this is where Peter finds out that Flint Marko was the one who actually killed his uncle. And they do an interpretation of what happened where it looks like Flint Marko, killed Uncle Ben in cold blood. It wasn't like an accident, like what actually ends up happening, or what ended up happened. Actually, like what actually happened. This was like he basically killed him in cold blood, and this is where Peter's anger was coming from, and that's where the symbiote was being attracted. The problem was, you could have did something like have during that Spider-Man event, maybe Aunt May's there, or even Mary Jane, one of the two, get hurt during that skirmish. That would have worked better. That could have been what really triggered Peter's anger towards the villain, because one of his loved ones got hurt. I would say Aunt May, because Mary Jane's fucking behavior in this was awful to where, I don't know. So yeah, Aunt May, it's something like that. Maybe not severely hurt, but hurt to a point that it even pisses off Peter. He's like, no, not one of my loved ones got hurt. That's what it should have been. Something like the whole Flint Marko killing Uncle, it doesn't make sense timeline-wise. Watch the first movie, it doesn't make sense. And then why did it take so long to find this out? And you could say, yes, there are unsolved murders, I get it. But it doesn't make sense. And I'm just going to say it for me personally, it was unneeded. I would have rather them just did a Flint Marko. You didn't need to do some shitty callback to the first movie. So like some trilogies do call back to the first, but you gotta only do that when it makes sense. Don't do it here. I didn't need this. It was so unnecessary. If they just did Flint Marko like the comics, where he's just a robber who happened to get the sand powers, that would work better. And then Peter's loved ones, that can be what triggers Peter to be pissed off. Then the symbiote, and I'll admit, the symbiote shit was cool. I will admit, when he gets in the black suit, when he first gets it, and then he's just already on the building, and he's like looking at the costume. I thought that was cool. But even like when he chases out Sandman, because he's noticed little changes in himself. That's where we get that. You'll get your when you fix this damn door to his landlord. I thought that was funny. I'll admit that was fucking funny. You'll get your rent when you fix this damn door. Like, I think why I like, yeah, the email Peter stuff was kind of cringe, but why I think I like it now is just because you could tell Toby had so much fun with it. Like the dance scenes are just some of the most funniest shit. So at that moment he noticed, so he takes the suit off. So like when he doesn't have the suit on, he's not like Spider-Man, or he's not like, he's still regular Peter. So he goes to Dr. Connors, who in the comics ends up becoming Lizard. So they're clearly probably gonna set him up to become Lizard at some point. That's why I would have loved a Spider-Man 4. Just one, something to make up for this movie, but it would have been cool to see more of this world explored. You know, I would have, because I'm gonna be honest, Gwen Stacy, Bryce Dallas Howard did a really good job as her, even for one movie. Granted, I would still overall Emma Stone's probably better just because she had 2 movies. It would have been cool to see Bryce in another one, because I actually thought she was pretty good as Gwen. So, and the couple scenes she had with Peter, they had a bit of chemistry. So Spider-Man now decides to wear the black suit after years that Sandman stealing a thing. I love this scene when fucking Spider-Man smashes Eddie Brock's fucking camera. He's like, "See ya, chump." He just smashes his camera. He's like, Sandman, because Eddie's like wanting to take a picture, and he fucking webs the camera and just smashes it on the wall as a "See ya, chump." I died at that. I'm not gonna lie. And I actually thought this fight was pretty good. Fight between Sandman and Black Suit Spider-Man. And when he thinks he killed Sandman because he realizes water is like, you know, his weakness, because water basically destroys sand. So he gets kind of washed up, and this is where we get the "good riddance." I thought that was a good line. Like when like the Black Suit Spider-Man stuff is really good, and I think they do capture that behavior change, because in the comics this happens when he wears the black suit. Peter's not himself. Some iterations he does wear the black suit and it's just one of his suits and he's still regular Peter, but when he initially gets it, yeah, he becomes different. So this is where we get the fucking dance scene. Then that's gonna be that's the thumbnail of this video when he comes out and he's fucking dancing. Yeah, you can say it's cringy, but I find it funny as fuck now. Like, Toby was just going all in. He hammed it up just to... He fucking seen when he's talking to Dr. Connors and he's having Ursula feed him fucking cookies. It's fucking hilarious. And then he sees an article from Eddie Brock, picture of Eddie Brock, because it looks like Spider-Man stealing like money, but it's an edited photo. And this is where "I'm gonna go rub dirt in your eye" line comes in. There's just so many good lines like that. you know, getting an obvious and infamous "gonna cry" a little later. I fucking love it, man. I'm not gonna lie. I love Bully Maguire in this movie. And that's what we got out of this movie. Bully Maguire was born. I was gonna originally title the video that I think I'm gonna go with "Gonna Cry" for my title. Peter confronts Eddie Brock, basically has the actual photos of what happened, and exposes Eddie Brock. "Want forgiveness? Give religion," or something. He says something like that. It's just so many good lines. Eddie Brock gets fired. The couple of times, I wish we got a bit more of Jameson. I feel like we didn't really get a lot of him in this movie. I don't know if they just didn't get J.K. Simmons as much, because J.K. Simmons is some of my favorite things in this movie. Even though in the end it was pretty fucking hilarious, because he wants the camera, and he has the fucking bot, because he's like trying to film the final fight, because, you know, Peter's not around. So yeah. So he gets fired. So yeah, when he fires Eddie, I thought that was pretty funny. Hold on. Okay. Just want to make sure it's still filming. But yeah, like, I really love Bully Maguire, and then Harry gets his memories back. This is where he makes Mary. Oh, I guess. Okay, I think I jumped ahead. I should have mentioned the infamous scene where Mary Jane is forced to break up with him by Harry. But realistically, Mary Jane wouldn't just break up with him. That's the other problem. She wouldn't do that. She would try to do some way to let Peter know. Even like they have like this sixth sense. I know it's a weird connection, but I'm gonna mention Angel. When this is when Fred was dating Gunn, and Gunn, broke up with her really aggressively. She instinctively knew that, okay, he wouldn't treat me like that. There's something wrong. It should have been something like that. Peter should have known something was fucking up. That, like, this isn't Mary Jane. And they're even when they try to have it like a scene like that, it doesn't work. It doesn't come off natural. It should have. It just doesn't fucking work. Like I said, Mary Jane in this fucking movie. Anyway, so this is where he confronts Harry, and I'll admit, this is where the fight between him and Harry was fucking great. That's probably my favorite fight the whole movie. I did like the final fight, but this fight was very hard. How hard hitting it was. Like there were so many shots. Like when they hit each other, like oh, like they're trying to kill each other, even though like they're supposed to be friends. Peter wasn't holding back. Like he was throwing fucking ragdolling Harry around a little bit, throwing him like his head hit like a beam, not like a beam, but like a wood thing. And it's like he already knows his head. It's like he already has like head injuries already. He's like he doesn't give a fuck. So it was a very well done fight. Peter ends up getting the best of Peter. Peter ends up getting the best of Harry. And then this is where Peter tells him the truth about it. Saying, he lied and said, no, your dad loved you. When in actuality, no. Norman was embarrassed of Harry, and now your father didn't love you. And then he's like, oh, gonna cry. I was like, oh my God. I love that shit. That would have been another thumbnail idea, too. Gonna cry. So, he ends up walking away. Harry tries to throw a bomb. Peter grabs it and throws it, and it blows, throws it, hitting the wall, exploding on Harry's face. Realistically, Harry probably should have died because he's pretty close to the blast, but it's comic books. It's fine. Things like that I can overlook. And then this is where Peter has his date with Gwen and takes her and basically does this. This is where he has that big dance scene, which I thought, I'm going to be honest, that was actually well choreographed. But he was kind of doing it just to gloat in front of Mary Jane. And Gwen realizes it, so she walks off. Mary walks off. He tries to talk to Mary. Then, like, one of the, like the bouncer guys is like, what do you, tries to start something with Peter. Peter ends up grabbing the guy, throwing him to a wall. And then he accidentally hits Mary when it's like, I should be feeling bad for Mary Jane in this scene, and this should be that moment like, Peter, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? And then it's like, but the problem is, it doesn't work because how Mary's behavior this whole fucking film. She should have somehow went to Peter and said, there's something up with Harry. That's it. There should have been more scenes of her seeing him in the, like, his change through. Because it also doesn't come off like she notices a change. She just like, oh, Peter's just being douchey now. But doesn't, like, think something's up with him. Till, like, that very end. And that was where Peter kind of snaps out of it. So, this is where we have that scene. And I do like that shot of Spider-Man just chilling. And this is where you realize, okay, I gotta take the suit off because it's changing me. So he ends up pulling the suit off. And for me, the problem I have is just the way, because Eddie Brock's also there. They should have did a more natural way. And I get it. If it happened in the comics, it probably would have, they probably added a more natural way of him being there. This just felt really just random. So yeah, I did like that scene though when he rips it off finally, and it's also good for memes too. But so he pulls it off. It ends up getting attached to Eddie, and this is where we get as a symbiote itself, almost like we do get a little bit of background on the symbiote. Like there are scenes like where Dr. Connors is talking to Peter about like what it does. So, which I thought those scenes were kind of good. So he then, this is where Venom, Sandman comes back in the film, and then he looks at that fucking locket again. It's so obnoxious the amount of times he looks at the locket. It's like, okay, we get it. So he wants to get revenge on Spider-Man. He initially attacks Venom, and oh my god, I did not like Venom's design. And the fucked up thing is, I remember seeing a toy for Venom from this movie that actually looks better. Like, he actually looks, he's not as big as I want him to be, but in the toy, he actually looks kind of yoked. He looks somewhat like Venom in the comics, a little bit. Like, yeah, it has lines like the actual movie suit, but he at least he had the look of the Venom, right? In this, sorry about that. Anyway, um, fucking Venom's look in this movie, he just looks like Spider-Man with teeth. Sorry about that. He just looks like he looks like Spider-Man with teeth. That's all he looks like, and that's not what Venom should be. It's cool he had the spider, unlike the newer ones, but the newer ones, he at least looks like Venom. Like, he looks like Venom straight out of the comics. Like, the size and everything. And even his mouth. The mouth in the comics is huge. He has a big fucking mouth. In this one, it just doesn't look that big, and I don't really like the voice either. And then, yeah, so him and Venom and Sandman pile together, they get Spider-Man. Venom kidnaps Mary, and this is where he has, webbed up on the whole, whole taxi webbed up and everything. And Spider-Man learns about it, goes to Harry. Harry initially refuses to help him, and this is where his fucking butler tells him, I've always had a problem with this. Why did you wait 2 fucking movies to tell him this? Why not tell him this, sir? But I kind of always had a problem with this whole Harry being mad at Spider-Man because of his father thing. It doesn't hold up if you think about it, because there could have been so many moments. Why the fuck didn't Harry find out? Why didn't Peter just tell him last movie that you did do it? Or the butler wait 2 fucking movies to tell him this? He would have known how many years you hit the... It makes no sense for him to not tell him earlier. Just to tell him at this moment so you can have him get involved in the fight. It would... I don't know. There could have it be some other reason he didn't want to help Peter initially. Anyway. So Peter goes to the fight, and this is where I'll admit, his entrance was fucking awesome. When he's back in the classic suit, you got the city chanting for him, the fucking music playing. It's like, okay, that is how you do a superhero entrance. He tries to save Mary, gets attacked by Venom, and the fight itself is actually pretty good between him and Venom and Sandman, who's this big fucking monster now, and the effects look good, and things look dire. And I actually like you have this news lady doing like commentary, so Spider-Man's almost gonna die because Venom like has him like has his hands held by webs, while Sandman's base, because he's a giant monster, just hitting him, like smashing him with fist, and he nearly dies. Harry comes and helps. They both end up taking out Sandman. Then they try to save Mary, but then they end up getting confronted by Venom. Venom nearly kills Spider-Man, but Harry gets involved, knocks Harry off his board, has the board, and is about to stab, because the board has like blades, kind of like the other hoverboard did, and he's about to stab Spider-Man. Then Harry jumps in front of him. Harry's death's pretty sad. Like, I'll admit, that's actually very well done, and it still holds up. Like, it's a very well done death scene. It feels kind of earned. Spider-Man ends up killing. Initially, he actually tries to save him. Hey, so he takes Eddie out of the suit because he realizes the suit his weakness is like vibration, so he vibrates the metal. He uses a bunch of metal poles stuck on the ground and starts hitting it. His suit starts going crazy. He pulls Eddie out, but Eddie jumps back in while he throws one of the goblin bomb, and ends up killing Eddie in the process. Then Harry and Peter have a moment, and I actually thought that was very well done. Like, now they've made peace, and then Peter's one of the iconic, like him crying is pretty sad. I thought that was a pretty sad scene. Then Peter, for basically, we get the scene where he forgives, uh, uh, believes, forgives Sandman. And I thought that scene was pretty good, actually. Even though I don't like how it was done, the scene where he basically, this is where we get the actual truth that he accidentally killed Uncle Ben. He didn't ever intend. Uncle Ben was actually trying to like almost help him and try to give him some word of inspiration. He's basically like trying to change his life, but his partner accidentally bumped into him and the gun went off. So it was an accident, and Sandman um, um, doesn't, to forgive himself, and that's where Peter forgives him, and all that scene was really well done. And then he, goes off. So overall, Spider-Man 3, and then we have a moment between Mary and Peter in the end. Spider-Man 3 has some good. It's just a lot of bad, man. Venom should not have been in this movie. You could have repurposed Eddie Brock and have him just be another character, because that was not Eddie Brock from the comics. Venom didn't need to be in this movie. His look wasn't good. Sandman, if you just did him like the comics, not be like this sympathetic villain, it would have worked better. Because it was so on the nose of him being sympathetic. And also the whole retcon that it was him who killed Uncle. It doesn't work. It doesn't make sense with the movie. It doesn't, it just doesn't for me. They just did it like the villain, like the comics. It would have worked better. New Goblin, I didn't really care for that stuff either. But if it had just been those two, okay. Venom didn't need to be in this movie, because it wasn't even actual Venom. He deserves his own solo villain movie, done right, and I think it would have worked better. Because even in the plot, you could clearly tell Sandman's supposed to be the main villain. That's what it feels like. The symbiote almost feels afterthought at times. The fact that I forgot that the symbiote was even there until that scene where I saw it, where when Mary Jane leaves and you see it like behind the thing. Oh, forgot that shit even landed. Like they didn't. You do get a little bit of background when he's talking to Dr. Connors. That stuff's good, but I think Venom is this bad studio decision. The fact that Sam Raimi clearly didn't want to do it, I think that's why. Because ultimately the focus was still on Sandman. But anyway, guys, no video tonight. Overall, Spider-Man 3, I'd give a fucking 6. It's not the worst movie in the world, but it's not a good Spider-Man movie. I don't blame people who hate it. I love the Bully Maguire stuff. You could tell Toby was having fun with that stuff. Yeah, you could say it's kind of cringy, but it at least did capture that behavior change of Peter Parker. I think that's like that one thing I will give. It captures it perfectly. Mary Jane she was dog shit person in this movie. Yeah, I hate that. She's probably one of my biggest negatives of this movie. That Mary Jane in this movie is the worst version of Mary Jane for me. Like, I had to pause that first scene when she goes off at Peter when he's trying to help her. This is not about me, this is about me. It's like, oh my god, go fuck yourself, Mary Jane. Like, fuck you, bitch. And so it's like hard for me to feel bad for when he kissed the other girl or when he flaunted Gwen over her. Like, it's hard for me to feel bad when she was like that the whole fucking movie. The only scene is when they're on the web, but that was it, and that scene's not that long. So, yeah, she was so fucking frustrating this whole movie. It was hard to feel bad for her, and it's like there are points like, Peter, don't save her. Peter, go for Ursula. Go for the neighbor girl. Go for Ursula. She's far better. Go for fucking Gwen. It's just, yeah. Anyway, guys, no video tonight. Tomorrow I will be talking about why there shouldn't be a Scream 7. Just, this franchise was never supposed to be that. This is supposed to be the one that made fun of that. Like, one of the things Scream used to make fun of was the amount of horror sequels there were. But now they're that franchise now. So anyway, guys, I'll talk about that more tomorrow. But cheers. All right, y'all. Talk to y'all later. Peace.